Repeating the breaking news that we just heard from Congressman Robert Garcia, in his under oath deposition with the House Oversight Committee yesterday, former Trump Attorney General William Barr said it is within the current Attorney General Pam Bondi's power to release the entire Epstein files right now. That is the breaking news tonight from that deposition yesterday. William Barr saying the Attorney General is fully empowered to release the entirety of the Epstein files at any time. And with the turmoil of the Epstein files swamping the Justice Department, Donald Trump's Justice Department now has a new deputy director of the FBI, which now makes two deputy directors of the FBI. Dan Bongino was the only deputy director of the FBI until today, when Donald Trump appointed Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey as deputy director of the FBI. There was no explanation as to why the FBI now needs two deputy directors while the FBI is firing FBI agents by the thousands. Trump Justice Department lawyer Edward Martin, who could not be confirmed by the Senate as a United States attorney, is now conducting public stunts to humiliate himself, apparently for the way he is conducting what the Trump Justice Department calls an investigation of Attorney General Letitia James.
I'm just...
And you're not telling me what you're doing. That's not true.
Interesting houses. It's important houses. Thank you.
It's not. It's just like every other track house on this block.
Right, they're beautiful. Beautiful neighborhood.
Thank you.
I mean, do you guys call this a stoop?
What do you think?
I don't know. Is this a stoop? We didn't have stoops where I was growing up. Is this a stoop?
It was 88 degrees on that sidewalk while that freak was walking around in that trench coat. Joining us now is Andrew Weissman, former FBI general counsel and former chief of the criminal division in the Eastern District of New York. He's an MSNBC legal analyst. And Andrew, let's begin with the breaking news that we just heard from Congressman Garcia, the clarity by former Attorney General Donald Trump's last Senate-confirmed Attorney General in his first term, William Barr, saying it is fully within the power of the Attorney General now, Pam Bondi, to release the entirety of the Epstein files.
Absolutely. Well, I hate to say this, but he is right. We have been saying this all along. And that just, to me, it underscores the stunt nature of what we've been seeing. The idea that they filed this motion to unseal grand jury testimony when everyone knew there would be nothing there and it would be unlikely to be granted. But that was not where the files are. That's a tiny, tiny fraction. They could release that any moment. So as the judge said in denying that in New York, that it is entirely disingenuous of the Department of Justice to make that motion. And now to have this sort of drips and drabs, the death by thousand cuts of slowly releasing bits and pieces is all underscores that they're not doing the most simple thing if you actually wanted the files released, which is to release them.
I want to go to that video that we just saw, which I know for me was unimaginable until I saw it. It's not something a fiction writer could come up with. It's something that's never happened before. It includes the utter freakiness of an 88-degree sidewalk and a guy in a trench coat for reasons known only to him. Two goons, it looks like, standing there outside the home of the Attorney General of the state of New York. What do you see when you look at that video?
It's all performative, and if this was done in any administration, Republican or Democratic, that was serious, a serious Department of Justice, that person would be fired or severely disciplined. At the very least, one of the reasons is it's not going to help any potential future case the department brings to show that kind of poor judgment and to disparage a person and have sort of that play to publicity while somebody's under investigation. That's not going to help your case. And so it really is going to help the defense here, ironically, because of the such poor form, and it's going to really be used against the Department of Justice. So this is one where you have to wonder what Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche are doing. They either have control of him or not. And if they don't take action here, they really own that kind of behavior.
Yeah, and I, for one, don't think there will ever be a defense, because I don't think there will ever be any federal criminal charges filed against the Attorney General of the state of New York, which to me partially explains the insanity of that stunt. Since there will never be a criminal prosecution, let's go walk around the sidewalk outside of her home so that the Trump fans can actually think something's happening.
Yeah, that absolutely, that could very well be the case. And it ties into the point that you were making about there now are two deputy attorney two deputy FBI directors. That doesn't happen. And the reason I think you can tie this all together is it shows the lack of confidence in the first deputy director. I mean, this is tantamount to firing him, but it certainly is not a vote of confidence. And so you ask yourself, if you really are pro law enforcement, if you really are saying, for instance, you really care about crime in DC and crime in LA, and you want to send in the Marines because you care so much. Well, how about starting by having an experienced, competent former agent or current agent as a deputy director of the FBI? Kash Patel said he was going to do that. And that's where you sort of realize how much of this is performative at the expense of the sort of public safety and good law enforcement. That would be true, by the way, just to be clear, of any administration, Republican or Democrat, if they were serious.
There's been a lot to criticize about the FBI through its history, especially the J. Edgar Hoover years, when the FBI was conducting illegal wiretaps on Martin Luther King and others in those dark days of the FBI. But in the modern FBI, one thing it's not known for is chaos. That seems to be what we're seeing there now with these co-directors and an utterly incompetent, inane director of the FBI.
Well, look, to be clear, this what is being said to all of America is that the first choice was not the right one. The first choice was somebody who could do the job, which, by the way, one person has done that job for decades. So clearly that means that they have appointed somebody who they do not think can do that job. That is a mark on Donald Trump. We saw it in the first administration. We're seeing it now. And the idea that you are doing this at a time that you are telling the public you care about crime in D.C., so much so that you're calling in the National Guard from all around the country. You're calling in the Marines. That to me is the real fallacy of what we're seeing from this administration.
Might it actually be that the new co-director of the FBI is functionally going to be director in Patel? You have a completely incompetent deputy director in there as what might become the White House's real guy in the FBI, or the Attorney General's real guy in the FBI, and everyone maneuvers around the two clowns who were already there.
That's possible. My concern, if I were in the administration, I mean, it's obviously a hypothetical, what I would be saying is, where is the career experienced person who traditionally is in that role? And it's not just a question of, traditionally we do that. You need to know how to motivate people. You need to know all of the ins and outs. This is not a time and a place to learn on the job. This is why experience matters. And so, without disparaging the person who's coming in, they do not have, as far as I know, that experience. So we could end up with now 3 people, not 1, not 2, not 3, without the requisite experience at a time and in a place where it really is important to our safety.
Andrew Weissman, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Is there a Republican strategy on the committee to their approach to these witness interviews that they're conducting?
Yes. Their strategy is to handpick Republican witnesses that may not know a lot about the case or about Donald Trump's connection to the files. Their strategy is to slowly leak parts of the Epstein files, which is a reminder they didn't want released at all until we forced that vote. The DOJ had no interest in releasing any records or documents. It was only the subpoena that we forced that is actually now snowballing what we're seeing in front of us. And what's going to happen over the next few weeks is Republicans are going to put out different members. They want to see witnesses, former administration officials, Democratic officials, Republican officials, but they are not going to get to, or they don't want to focus on what really matters. Right now, today, Pam Bondi and Donald Trump have the power to release the full files and Epstein records today, tonight, right now. No one is stopping them. No one coming in front of us that's going to be deposed can change that the single most important thing that we need are those records. And Bill Barr, by the way, said as much in his testimony. He agreed when pressed if Pam Bondi could release the files today, and we agree with Bill Barr. She has the power to release all of the documents now, and Friday is not good enough. We'll see what we get Friday, but they're going to slow roll what they want to put out. And so we're going to make sure that every step of the way that we verify what's in these documents, we protect the victims, but we're not going to rest until the entire records and files are with us, and then that we can finally eventually get that out to the public.
Well, let me go back and double underline something you just said. It was former Attorney General William Barr's testimony yesterday under oath in that deposition that it is within the power of the Attorney General now to release the entire Epstein files.
He made that clear. And so I think that that's something that he understands. We all know. I mean, Lawrence, we all heard Pam Bondi. I mean, the files were on her desk. She said it on Fox News. She had access to the entire files. She's read through them. She's done redactions and her team herself. We know she has briefed the president on the Epstein files and his name being in the files. This has all been reported to the public. And so the question continues, why this delay? Why not just release all the files? Why do we keep bringing folks in, many of whom have no real knowledge of what actually happened? I am looking forward to this Friday. We want to see what's going to be released, and then we're going to push like hell to make sure that every last record and document is released, including, by the way, the client list is going to be very important, and I'm hoping that we get that on Friday. And we've got to remember, regardless of who's on that, this has got to be focused on the victims, and anyone that has done any harm to people or was involved in these crimes should be exposed, and the public should know who those people are.
It sounds like the breaking news of this hour right now that you're telling us is that the former Trump Attorney General, the last Senate-confirmed Trump Attorney General, says that it is within the power of the current Attorney General to release the entire Epstein files.
He didn't indicate that. He indicated that the current Attorney General, Pam Bondi, has it within her power to release those files right now. And so we're once again saying she should release the entire files. And this idea that she's going to roll out some of it on Friday and then continue this kind of planned stage rollout is not acceptable. Once again, they are playing distraction, playing games. This is all part of a massive White House cover-up. We know Donald Trump does not want these files released after campaigning so vigorously to get them out. The American people deserve the truth, and we're going to keep fighting to get it.
Congressman Robert Garcia, thank you.